You won't believe the difference. When we went through that, well, some of the guys are different, but when I went through that, the first week I didn't think I was going to be able to do 135. I was hoping for some singles, and it was hard. But by the time we got to the fourth week at 275, it wasn't so bad. If I did the 275, matter of fact, we maxed out with that first week, the first time we went through it, and I ended up with 275 for a single. Where after the 4 weeks, I was doing 275 for my sets.
And you're a 900-pound squatter?
Yes.
And 135 with the bands was hard?
Yeah, yeah,
at that time, you'd already done 900
Sure, because
pounds?
there's 770 pounds of tension at the top.
It's actually band weight. You don't got to worry about the barbells.
Yeah. Now this type of phase, because we're in a higher percent range, the sets and reps have to change, more or less the sets, like I talked about before. 5 sets is enough. You don't want to go over that.
And you're doing sets of doubles?
Yes. This is just squat stuff now.
Right.
Not bench.
Right.
What were those percentages?
Can you read them off the percentages
Yeah,
again?
it was 66, 70, 76, and 82.
Now keep in mind with this phase here, I understand it's a little confusing for you guys. Okay, I know that. All right, most of you guys aren't going to be going through these phases. Just hear it, listen it, try to retain it a little bit. If you get to the point where you want to go through this phase, call me. I'll help you set it up. It's very simple to set up. It's very simple for me to set up. I don't want you to sit there and be, oh my God, I can't understand, and kill yourself trying to figure it out. The key thing for you guys to figure out is the basic phase that we already figured out. Okay? That and the basic template. This is just kind of showing you how to take it to that next level. Everybody on the same page with that there?
Someone may have just asked this, but should you still throw in a couple sets at the end where you put on a couple more plates?
Yeah.
You should still put
Yeah,
that up? Okay.
definitely. After you go through that first 4-week phase, you're going to go into, for lack of a better term, a transition phase, which is just going to be a band squat phase, okay? Right now, pretty much all the training is a transition phase. If you're going to use bands, like you said you're using bands, you need to know what percent. This is the basic band phase right here, okay? Basic band phase, you're going to be looking at 47%. Now I have to assume this is an advanced lifter. All right, a beginner lifter is not going to do this phase. Everybody understand that? Intermediate lifter is not going to do this phase. It's not intended for them. Beginner and intermediate, if you want to have these bands, just throw a band on. It doesn't need to be extreme. This is getting pretty extreme with tensions. Percent is going to be week 1, 47, week 2, 49, week 3, 52, week 4, 54. Barbell weight. Then you're going to get into the bands where you want the tension at the top. I wouldn't worry about the middle tension at the bottom, okay? Just make sure there's still tension there. If you start trying to figure out and get these percents exact, it's not going to happen. Try to match up the percents at the top, okay? That would be 76, 78, 80, and 86. So you just calculate that with your own barbell weight. Everybody know how to do that? You know, 400 times 0.86. Just making sure. Just making sure.
How long do you do each of the phases?
This phase, well, first off, you know, this whole entire thing is going to be about 16 weeks or whatever. That's going to be like twice a year, and that's it. This transition part would be the basic band cycle you're going to do year-round. If you don't have a meet coming around, we don't have a meet right now. So we're just rotating through this phase right here over and over and over again. Spinning our wheels until we get to about that 14-week mark. Then we hit that speed strength for 3 weeks. Then we're going to go into this again for 4. Then we're going to go into the next one, which I'm going to show you in a second. Which would be the actual circle maximal phase. Now the percents, pretty much close to the same, but what you got to watch is there's a deloading that's going on here. And there's some changes going on with the barbell weight. Okay? So you got 47, 50, 53, 48. It comes down, and then 51, but the band tension's also changing too. Okay? To lay it out a little bit better, when we go through the phase, most of us are using the same weight in the gym right now. Mike's using a little bit more, but everybody else is about the same. We're going to have 430, 460, 480 is a basic phase. It's going to be a 3-week phase. This is not a 4-week phase. All right? Band tension is high. All right? We're having band tension in the 90, 98, 101% range. The bands aren't going to change. For us, it's going to be a blue and a green. Okay? Choked up. Go through there. Then we come into week 4. We're going to drop the barbell weight. Band tension stays the same. Week 5, we're going to increase the barbell weight. We're going to pull a band off. What we're trying to do with the deloading time here is to bring the speed back. Because trust me, you're not going to be very fast when you go through this. Matter of fact, you're going to be brutally slow. Other methods, I'm just going to kind of rip through this real quick. We'll get into more of this when we go do the exercises. But for some of the maximal methods, for some of the max effort stuff that we do, we'll do some exercises which would be considered maximal concentric, which would be suspended good mornings. We hang a bar from a power rack, get up underneath it, and come up under it. The eccentric work's really not there. When we do the maximal good mornings or maximal concentric work like that, if we really kill ourselves getting it up, we'll have our training partners help us get it back down. Because we're only concerned with that concentric work to kind of simulate a deadlift. Pin presses are the same way. In a power rack, press up. We'll do presses off pins. We'll do presses hanging from chains. Like I said, I'm going to just kind of rip through this so you know the methods, all the exercises we're going to show you. Pin pulls, same thing. Deadlifts off pins. Maximal eccentrics are very hard on the system. We don't do a whole lot of it. Louis wrote an article about it. I'm not even going to talk about it because you guys don't need to do it. You can only do it about once every 12 weeks when it's a lot of band usage. Just forget about it. Regardless of what anybody ever tells you about maximal eccentrics, it's not worth the risk. Submaximal methods, this would be for some of your accessories and your tricep work or whatever. Don't be afraid to experiment with supersets, pre-exhaustion sets. The difference between the two supersets more or less is like a tricep exercise and a bicep exercise, where a pre-exhaust would be a tricep and a tricep. You know, a lot of times we'll do dumbbell tricep extensions with push downs. We'll superset them. Don't be afraid to experiment with that. See how that works with you.
What about rest pause stuff? Like if you go heavy, do it, say you get 6 rests for 10 seconds.
Yeah, you can do that kind of stuff. Experiment around. It's your body. You can do whatever you want to it. Some of the things can make a huge difference. We're finding some stuff we're doing with bands, high rep stuff with bands. 100, 200 repetitions per day of push downs, which we'll show you that. Took a couple guys up 50 pounds on their bench. Compensatory acceleration training, which we've talked about before, is exploding through the full range of motion. You can do that with some of your accessory work, supplemental work. Mix it up. We do a lot of hybrid movements, which is like a good morning squat. Hybrid more or less is combining 2 lifts. A good morning squat, back up. Some sub-maximal methods, I just did that. You guys would have let me sit there and go through that whole thing again. Some super maximal methods, ballistics. We're going to show you something called a dimmel deadlift or a partial high rep deadlift, which is good for developing the hamstrings. Restricted range methods, pin pulls, board presses. All I'm trying to show you here is we use a lot of different methods for the supplemental stuff. And there's no rhyme or reason why. Okay, if something's not working for you, try a different exercise. If you know the exercise works real well for you, but it's not working the way it used to, try to use it with a different type of method. See if you can get it going again. Reactive methods, you can use load release, weight releasers. Static dynamic is a box squat. Okay, then sitting down, pause, bam, right back up. Going from a static to a position to a dynamic position, actually, if you read in the book, super training is one of the best ways to develop explosive strength, which is why we use it. Tempo changing is another one. If you're using, band tricep